The day is finally here for Ole Miss to find out where they're going to go, when they're going to play, all of that good stuff. It is happening right now, and we're going to watch along with it for as long as it takes. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. And we are in reaction mode, and we have an open invite to all the members of the SEC After Dark crew to talk Ole Miss, the college football playoff, what's going on, and we're going to react to all of it together. We're going to have a Texas A&M, an Alabama person potentially, South Carolina, all of the SEC After Dark people could be in attendance. We'll see exactly how that goes. Anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen, and give us a like, subscribe, and a comment on your way out, and check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available for you. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Something tells me that $20 off would come in pretty handy in about 2 weeks' time. Anyway, I'm Stephen Willis. We're going to bring in the people from Biscuits and SEC, and we're going to react to what is happening on the college football playoff rankings reveal. Listen, it doesn't matter if it's Tulane. It doesn't matter if it's James Madison. It doesn't matter if it's Notre Dame, Miami, or Alabama. This is a massive day for Ole Miss football. There's no way to get around it. This is a culmination point of where you've been trying to get for 40 years, in my opinion. And I think we need to celebrate the fact that Ole Miss is doing that today, as opposed to breaking down the matchup, which we're going to do that a whole bunch at a later date. But for now, this one's going to be about celebration and answering the questions of whether Alabama deserves to be in. Honestly, Texas has a better resume than Alabama. Nobody thinks Texas deserves to go, but all of a sudden Alabama is in the conversation. Miami beat Notre Dame. Why isn't Miami just in? Duke with an upset over Virginia. You got a 5-loss team and potentially 2 G5s. There is a lot of stuff to react to, and we're going to react to all of it today. They're going through all the intros in the selection showed where it was like Reese Davis, Booger McFarland, Joey Galloway, and Greg McElroy from wherever they are in, I guess, maybe Bristol, Connecticut or something like that. But they're going to try and start breaking down what is going on. Should be pretty interesting. I'm going to try and go back and forth. This could be clunky because this is not going to be a normal 30-minute show that we normally do. We will be on for this watch party as long as it takes to reveal everything. Now, we don't care about the commentary that'll likely be 90 minutes, the last 90 minutes of the show. But the commentary that goes on up to all of the announcements being made, we're going to stick around and live stream during all of that. Pretty good stuff. We're going to take your comments. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to try and bring in some of the SEC Locked On, our SEC After Dark people whenever they get in. I set it up to where, hey, just stop by for a few minutes, talk about what's going on and all of that. Boss Man from Biscuits and SEC is going to pop in a few minutes. So I think he will be the first one. Mike Huseman could be on that list as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes with what happened. So Mike's in the house. Mike, one thing that's interesting about this, I pointed this out going into it. Alabama has a worse resume than Texas, and nobody thinks Texas will make it, and everybody thinks Alabama is going to make it. Make that make sense for me.
The flawed rationale that losing a conference championship game should not hurt you. I don't know where it came from. Nobody on the committee has ever said it. Nobody in the NCAA has ever said it, but somehow there's this narrative that losing in that game shouldn't hurt you. So to me, that's it.
Even though Florida State got dropped out after winning that game.
Yes.
In the 14 playoff. And there's examples right and left of the conference championship game helping you and hurting you and all of that stuff. Listen, Alabama is getting so much run over victories over Missouri and Vanderbilt right now.
Yep.
That's what it is. Texas beat Oklahoma and Texas A&M. They're two teams that are solidly in.
And BYU beat Utah, a team that's higher than several of those teams.
Yeah, and
yeah,
one thing that's interesting about all of this stuff is Alabama, their big reference point was the win in Athens, Georgia, which fantastic. They scored 24 points in the first half, and then they spent 6 quarters not doing anything. Yep. They're getting so much run, and that got proved basically Saturday to be a fluke. And Alabama's like, no, don't look behind the curtain. That's what I think is happening.
I think it's absolutely it. Yeah, we're looking at, instead of making criteria and then looking at the teams, Alabama is taking their team and then making the criteria after that to fit what they want to happen.
Yeah. And a lot of people in the stream right now, we're well over 200 as we're starting. Once they start revealing this stuff, we'll get into that.
I don't have a TV with me, so I will largely be learning the seeds and numbers from you telling it to me. So
that is called reacting in real time. That is called reacting in real time. So we'll see how it goes. In our chat, we'll probably participate as well. Chop SGFX says, low key, I think Duke deserves it. If you win
I'm with you, Chop. Yes, I am.
Yeah, you should automatically be in. Look at the NFL division winners can go 7-10, but they won, so they're in. Yeah, if you're going to be the NFL model, that makes sense. If you're going to take the 12 best teams, that shouldn't anywhere be there.
I think Duke should be in, but I think that's a flawed ration because we're not applying that to every conference. And if we're the NFL, we would do that. Or division, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. David Keith says, any word on if Charlie Weiss Jr. may be a permanent coach? And I don't know. I know he's going to be in for the playoffs, but I also know that they're low-key talking to people behind the scenes. This is a much bigger search than everybody's letting. It's not Charlie Weiss or bust. There's wheels turning behind the scenes as well.
John
we got
David Baker's out there. Check out the article.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow or Tuesday, honestly.
Okay.
Let's see. People. All right. We're going to bring in Boss Man from Biscuits and SEC. Yeah. Boss Man, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, y'all. How are you guys? I'm excited to find out who's going to be in.
Yeah, we were just saying that we know how you feel about the University of Texas. We're down with that. But we were saying that Texas has a better resume for the college football playoff than Alabama, but there's no chance that Texas is going to get in.
I think that's right. I think they're on the outside looking in. And, I've been reading a ton of tweets and been, listening to everybody all morning about the college football playoff. Texas is not being mentioned hardly at all, which is interesting. But one of the things, too, that we're talking about, I think we're going to have to talk about this going forward, is the championship games. If Alabama gets left out, I don't think they will, but if they get left out, what do we do with championship games? And then the second thing is you got Duke at 7-5, and Mike and I have been going back and forth about this for a week now. It's been fun. But you also have JMU, who has no Power 4 win, and we're looking like we're going to get JMU in the college football playoff, potentially a Duke. And I just wonder, are those – the whole point is the best teams, the 12 best teams, right? That's supposed to be the point. Well,
no, because I think the 5 best conference champions have to be in. We set criteria. We have to stick to it.
Yeah.
Is 7-5 Duke one of the best 12 teams in the country?
No, it doesn't matter. Are they one of the 5 best conference champions is the question.
No, they're still not.
The question is, would they beat James Madison if they played on neutral field right now? That is the question of what would happen. Would Duke beat James Madison? And honestly, nobody can answer that. Everybody likes to pick on –
Nobody knows.
Everybody likes to pick on SEC fans about hypotheticals and all of that. That's the ultimate hypothetical. Yeah. Would James Madison beat Duke? And On any given Saturday, they might. I
mean,
James
Miami win.
Well, that's yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. We need to hypothetically look at the Notre Dame Miami game and figure out who would win that matchup. If we could figure that out, it would help all the people in the playoff room too.
That'd make it easy. Yeah. That now it's not a problem at all. I mean, Mike, you're right about the criteria. I get what you're saying about that. I mean, we kind of change it year to year, right? As well. Like that's kind of what ticks people off.
And I know you're right. They are not even close to a 12 best team.
Right.
You're right on that too.
So when we take out, okay, so maybe that changes next year, but everybody the conferences had to sign off on this whole thing, right? But if you put up Miami or Bama or Texas against Duke right now, even a JMU, what happens? They're going to blow them out. That's just the truth. Like maybe not Duke, but JMU,
maybe not Miami, and maybe not Miami,
and maybe not Miami. But of the other two, I think that they probably win by 10 at a minimum.
The way to solve this, and Stevie, I don't remember if it was group show or what, but this came up last spring. The 4+4 plus 2.5 model solves this conundrum
completely. And I think that is the model that everybody wants to have. But if the SEC suggests it and they're on board with it, nobody's going to want it because there's so many people on the outside that are ready to just yell at everything Greg Sankey and the SEC does. Even though the Big Ten was the first ones that proposed it. Nobody remembers that. Yeah. But I do think just 16 teams, 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC. You look every year, you're pretty much going to get that 4 for the Big Ten, and then 2 each for the Big 12 and the ACC. And the third place team plays the third place team from each conference for the third bid. So if your team's good enough, you can on conference championship Saturday, you can do that. It makes the conference
a computer
game mean something. Yeah.
This year again.
Yeah.
Like they did for the title game.
It's so easy, but everybody's hung up on the fact that, hey, let's throw these 12 teams in a pot and let them play for it in this perfect utopia. And the reality is that will never happen with these people. There's too many innate biases to do that. If you do it this way, they're likely going to be in the competition anyway, and it's going to sort itself out, but it also makes the conferences more important. It makes the conference championship weekend relevant. Move the calendar forward to where the conference championship games are on Thanksgiving weekend, and let's go do this because this year's a joke. For reference, that 3-3 game ACC Big 12 yesterday would have been Miami and Utah. Talk about an awesome game to watch.
Awesome game. Yeah. That would have been
fun. If you do that, what they already mentioned was planned is you play the SEC championship game, which would have been in a tiebreaker scenario, Alabama and Georgia, to where both teams are guaranteed to get into the college football playoff. They're guaranteed 2 of the bids. Then you have, quote, play-in games where 3 plays number 6 and number 4 plays number 5 on the same day for those 4 automatic bids. If you lose those games, there's still a couple of at-large spots you can get, but that is how they select it. It would completely be based off of the field, and you wouldn't have to worry about necessarily tiebreak. So, it's funny. Texas wouldn't even have been one of those 4 because it would have been Ole Miss, Vandy, A&M, Oklahoma in those games. Yeah.
That's music to my ears.
They've got so many. It's weird how it worked out this time. There's so many potential rematches that are on the table. Like A&M and Notre Dame could go in it again.
Do you want to play for the 3rd time in 14 months, boss man?
No, I really don't, honestly. I mean, frankly, whatever came out earlier, right? With I said it in the chat, the Kalshi stuff that came out. I know the disclaimer. They'll cancel the bets, right? If it doesn't go that way. But they had A&M playing Alabama in the first round. So Bama coming to Kyle Field. I'm so in for that, right? Like an SEC game. We love playing Alabama. I know that they've had our number for the most part throughout the course of us being in the SEC. But it's been a fun game. A&M has had it really.
I remember the walk-off field goal a couple years ago.
Beat them a couple times, right? Yep. So I mean, I would love to play Alabama.
And Oklahoma Notre Dame would be a great game too.
It would.
Yeah. I don't think A&M would be excited to play Notre Dame or Miami because both of those have been recent visitors to Kyle Field.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, it would be a great game, whether it's Notre Dame or Miami, right? If they were coming to Kyle Field, it would be a great game, and it would be the 3rd matchup for Miami in a couple years. and it would be our third against Notre Dame in a couple of years. So,
odd that you've played those teams more than conference foe Oklahoma
and Kentucky.
And I don't think Georgia. I don't think Georgia's come to Kyle Field since A&M's been in the conference.
They have not, and we have not gone to Lexington. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, going to Lexington, that's not
not
one way or another.
Sure.
Since those teams have joined the conference, 15 years ago, I think the Gamecocks have only went to Fayetteville once for a game.
Yeah, it's crazy how that's all worked
out. I do like the new scheduling model to where every 4 years you're going home and away to every school in the SEC. They finally got that right.
Totally agree with that. One thing I will say about this, you guys were talking about the 4-4-2. There's a lot of talk about getting rid of the conference championship games. I am so out on that. I do not. I want to increase and enhance the playoff or the championship games for the conferences. It is a big deal to win the Big Ten championship, the SEC championship, and it should stay that way. It is something that has been going on in college football. It's part of what makes this sport incredible is all the tradition, the pageantry, the history, and the championship games for the conferences are part of that fabric of college football history. Doing away with that does not help the sport, in my opinion.
No, and if anything, like I said, everybody's going to hate on automatic qualifiers. They will. But can you imagine where 11 o'clock in the morning is the 3 versus 6 game, Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt in the early part, and at 3 o'clock or something like that, it's Texas A&M versus
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Now, I mean, that would be fantastic. That's a rivalry that goes way back. Everybody would enjoy that. And then you close it out with Georgia and Alabama. You think ABC would be happy about those ratings? And the Big Ten would be doing the same thing. You end up with Indiana and Ohio State, and you have like Michigan versus, I don't know what the rankings are, Michigan and Oregon and all of those teams that are pretty good. They're getting a shot. And a team like Illinois, who might, like I said, I don't know exactly where they sit, where they didn't have quite the best year. They're the number 6 seed. All they got to do is beat Oregon, and they're in the college football playoff, and they're played their way in.
Yeah.
That would be really cool if you could make the conferences be in control of this scenario.
So this year that would have been Oregon versus Iowa, USC versus Michigan.
Yeah, we're in. Everybody's in for that.
That's fun. Yeah.
I mean, everybody would have multi-view all the time. And that play-in game between the Big 12 and the ACC, that would be absolutely nuts. And then you have the championship game for the Big 12 and the ACC. And, don't take it away. Do like a 4-team playoff or something like that, or where you have a play-in game for the G5 to where North Texas, James Madison, all those teams are fighting it out. They're not just given a bid. They actually have to go earn it.
That's one thing I was talking about. Not as much the bid-related thing, but with the G5 ones, all year we watch a decent amount of MAC and CUSA because they go Tuesday and Wednesday. They're dumb to play their conference title games at the same time as power conferences. Do it on Tuesday and Wednesday so everybody watches at night and don't have it be competing with one of the bigger conferences.
I'm a proponent that they have their own playoff, and they do their playoff like 2 days before.
It's a great idea.
Friday and Saturday, they play like Wednesday and Thursday. So it's just football. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we talked about this Thursday, like those schools, a lot of them are smaller college towns. They would go wild over hosting a playoff game there. It would be a great atmosphere, like we get in the FCS in those towns.
All right, when we come back, hopefully they're going to actually release something on this watch party. I think they said they're in a commercial break right now, about 2.5 minutes, so we're going to do that just as well. We're here with Boss Man from Biscuits and SEC and Mike Huseman from Off Season After Dark. We will talk to them in just a second. But first, I do want to let you know about put the right lower third on there. There we go. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be an absolutely massive event. But let's be honest, getting tickets, that's usually the hardest part. That's why Game Time is a clutch app. It finally gives fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging those seats. That'll come in handy in a couple of weeks. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands, and it makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views, pick a game section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. If you're a true diehard Ole Miss fan, the Everyday or All Access promo that is coming out tomorrow is built just for you. You'll get one-on-one access with me, bonus episodes, exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedon.supercast.com to join the Everydayer program and unlock all access. You can also find the link down in the show notes. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. So that is really cool. All right. So we're coming in. Mike actually had to step out, it looks like. It looks like they're getting ready to name what's going on. I hate that this is a 3-hour program. I can't figure out, boss man, why they needed 3 hours for this.
I don't know. It's just ESPN just trying to ramp up the controversy. And, we're going to get a whole bunch of fodder from Hunter Yurachek. We got to get everything from all of their, people on set, their opinions on what happened. And so it's just, it's way too long though.
One thing that's really cool. I mean, I wish for several reasons, I wish North Texas would have beat Tulane. I like Tulane. This is nothing against them. But could you imagine a playoff situation where Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and North Texas are making the college football playoffs and Texas isn't?
It's a Christmas miracle. It's wonderful. If that had happened, it would have been incredible. But at least it's going to be Texas Tech and Texas A&M and Oklahoma.
By the way, I will say this. For the first time, me watching Texas Tech and really sitting down, their defense is good, man.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know offensively if they're a really good team to where you necessarily have to worry about, but their defense is a problem.
Yeah, they are. They have some dudes, especially along that defensive line. And
both of their edges are going to be top 20 picks in the draft in the next 2 years.
Yeah. For sure. It's funny to watch, because of our A&M affiliation and my For You page on Twitter gets a lot of Texas Tech people coming in. And I love what they're funny. So I like, looking at their tweets and stuff. And a lot of them have been just talking about, people have been hammering that, well, all you did was buy your way into the playoff and buy players. And they're like, yeah, we did. Who cares? Like, sue us.
That's legal now.
You can do that now. And that's what we did. So see you in the playoff.
Alabama's been doing that for 50 years.
I do remember all those pictures coming out in the pre-NIL era of all the players with Chargers and Dodge Challengers. Like,
hey, the Trans A&M was one of the first cars that everybody knew about, and that was an A&M joint.
Yeah, we did do that. Facts. And I'm pretty sure we lost that kid to SMU. So
there was no surprise in the world that SMU would be good in the NIL network. Yeah. They had like a 4-year run for it.
Yeah, that's right. All those folks at SMU who are donating to the George Bush Library now can take those donations and put them to football, which is what they always wanted to do anyway.
Right. Indiana, #1. They released the first name, the big shocking thing there.
Hey, they got it right.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, and props to Fernando Mendoza, because I have not seen many quarterbacks get jacked up the way he did on the first play of that game against Ohio State.
Blasted.
My goodness.
Rocked.
Yeah, I genuinely was concerned that he wasn't coming back at that point.
So,
and that last throw, when they got that last first down, that was a legit throw.
That was probably his Heisman moment. Do you think that was his Heisman moment?
Yeah, Johnny Manziel posted that on Twitter. It's like, we're putting fades as a Heisman moment now. Wait, Ohio State's #2? They got the 2 seed?
Oh, wow.
I don't hate it. It could have went
Well,
either way.
they're not a conference champion.
Boo.
They don't have to
Georgia's.
be.
Well, they don't have to be, but you're saying that two teams in the Big Ten in that game is over what Georgia's done.
Over what Georgia did? Exactly.
I would say they're the two best in the country, if we're going by that.
That's Hunter Yurachek cooking it. He's
Yeah.
like, nah.
Yes,
By the way,
Yurachek is against the SEC.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do.
Franklin needs to keep grilling him, boss man.
And I do think it would be funny to see a field goal kicking competition in Ohio, because maybe the Pat McAfee version is a little bit better field goal kicker right now.
Yeah,
that guy had a night, man.
Did you see the Georgia number 3? All right, just revealed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And number 4, that means that is going to be Texas Tech.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they match up the bowls, because you have to assume Indiana would play in the Rose Bowl, Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Is that Ohio State, Miami, and Texas Tech? Would they get their Cotton Bowl? Because that has to mean something traditionally to that fan base.
Definitely. Yeah, I would think so. That would be my guess.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Ole Miss going to the Sugar Bowl. That's how the Texas Tech fan base would react to getting Cotton Bowl invite.
Definitely. Yeah.
So,
although they did just play in that stadium, maybe they want to go to the Sugar Bowl or something, you know?
Well, I don't think they'll have the option of going to the Sugar Bowl. I think the option would be the Orange Bowl, but that would mean Ohio State, who just played in the Cotton Bowl recently. So
Sure.
I think the number 4 is Texas Tech. Now it gets interesting because I do think Ole Miss needs to jump over Oregon, and it should jump up because they have a matchup predicted between Ole Miss and Tulane, and we've already seen that. That was a 45-10 matchup on that field earlier in late September, and that's going to be that would almost be putting your team at a disadvantage. What, they don't have Wi-Fi in Lubbock? What's going on?
I mean, we were talking Thursday, Steve, about what the potential semi matchups were and what bowl games. The semis are Fiesta and Peach this year.
Okay.
You thought it might be one, but it's Fiesta and Peach.
All right, so we're going to get real. I guess they're going to do 5 to like number 10 or something like that, or maybe they'll start at the bottom. I don't know.
Will they go 25 up to like 14 or whatever?
Probably. Nothing would. I don't know if I would put anything past. They might just start off with the second team out and the first team out right now. Okay. Well, Oregon at number 5. They did not make that move, which means that did they put Tulane in Oxford, or is it flipped with JMU?
You guys will get JMU or Duke. Yeah, it could be. You don't know.
Maybe that's the tweak. Maybe that's the flip they go. But Oregon's coming in as the number 5.
And nobody's going to want to go there. That's a tough track because it's going to be an East team traveling all the way there. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking at number 6, this should be the moment, unless they decided to get crazy and move Texas A&M up a spot.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss and A&M should have jumped Oregon, frankly, but there you go.
Yeah.
Tough for me to have both of them. I don't know if I would. I could have seen 6th, not lower.
So Ole Miss is matched up with Georgia. Did they drop Alabama down to the point where it's an Ole Miss Alabama game for the winner playing Georgia? They wouldn't do that, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That would be some shady stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to play Georgia in a game that's not in Athens, Georgia, because they were essentially a 4th down stop away from winning that football game as badly as they played on defense.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so that probably puts A&M at 7, right? They probably stayed pat. There you go. Yep, A&M revealed.
Okay, so one thing that we figured out is last week's rankings, the penultimate rankings, they just locked everything in there, and they probably spent the whole time debating Alabama, Notre Dame, and Miami.
Yep.
So, boss man, you win and you got the Buckeyes in round 2.
Yeah, we'll take them. Screw them.
Yeah. Would you rather play them or Georgia?
Honestly, probably Probably Georgia.
Yeah, I feel like for you guys, it's a better matchup, Georgia.
Yeah, it's a better matchup. And also, I mean, look, we all know the SEC very well. You get beat up throughout SEC play. We know Georgia's kind of beat up. So I would rather and I know they're going to get, some time off between that game, but I would rather play Georgia.
Sooners are at 8. We're seeing that.
All right. So the SEC has 3 home host sites.
Wow.
Just means more.
That's
means more. So 4 teams announced already. The SEC has already gotten 4 teams into this playoff.
Wow.
Absolutely nuts.
Also, by the way, super impressive of Oklahoma this year. Everybody talking preseason about their schedule. To go 10-2 with their schedule, what Brent Venables did this year, great job. And one of the best things he did was hire Jim Nagy. That guy has done a great job as the GM there at Oklahoma.
Yeah. Who knew that the guy that ran the Senior Bowl would know how to scout players?
Right.
Who knew that?
I mean, I totally agree, but he's the one that made the hire. He brought him in, and dang, did he not do a good job in that first year? Saved Brent Venables' job, and now they're rolling in the playoff.
Yeah, so now they're doing the drama, build up the suspense thing.
And that Oklahoma team, when they've been at full strength, they've won all their games.
Bama at 9?
Oh boy!
Whoa!
Oh, I told you, tie always goes to Alabama. The tie always go to Alabama.
Are we going to see Notre Dame left out now?
Maybe they should.
I think we are. I think Miami.
That means 10 and 11. They're side by side, which means head to head comes into play.
I think Miami's getting in. Whoa!
If Miami does get in, good for Alex Dono. I mean, if we're going to be honest about it.
So we're seeing an Oklahoma-Bama rematch
in Norman. So it's going to home and home in the same season.
You know what's funny is, and people were talking about this last night, like all the Mario Cristobal or the Manny Diaz memes about he won an ACC title before Mario Cristobal did at Miami. Except now it's like the Uno reverse. It looks like Miami's going to get in, and Manny Diaz and Duke were the ones that helped get Miami in by winning last night.
Oh, it just feels like they're going to rematch Ole Miss and Tulane.
I think you're right.
Could be. Yeah.
And this is the thing: is it going to be Miami? Is it going to be Notre Dame?
Or they put Tulane at 10 and send him to Kyle Field.
That would be interesting.
It'd be fun.
I don't think ranking wise, I don't
think so either. That would be a big jump. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more likely that JMU jumped over Tulane, and even then.
Whoa!
Okay.
Miami gets in.
Wow.
Miami's in. Uh-oh.
Headed to Kyle Field.
Oh, that's a fun game.
And the other one has to be conference champions, so it has to be
Tulane's going to be next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Miami made it. Good for Alex Dono and Locked On Hurricanes, because you had to have a situation to where that game mattered when they played on the field. You had to have that situation. If you didn't, it was going to be terrible. I do think it's funny, and this might be the impetus that Notre Dame finally joins the conference. This might be the data point. It's like, you just didn't have anything.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. Like, not sorry for Notre Dame per se. I would have liked to see Jeremiah Love play, though, because he's a stud. He'd have been fun to watch against the other good teams.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and this might be the thing where the college football playoff goes to 16 teams. And I would like it at 12, but if it goes to 16, this is going to be one of those reasons, because I think Notre Dame probably is a playoff team. Like, I think they're really good. Like, I know they lost those 2 games, but the 2 games they lost were, A&M and Miami very close. So, and
they're playing so much better now. Mm-hmm. When you say you want to be playing your best at the right time, they are doing that.
Right.
One thing that's interesting about all of this, and we're about to find out if there's going to be a rematch, because obviously rematches are not a consideration if Alabama and Oklahoma's playing, so they probably have no problem scheduling Tulane in that spot. but we'll see exactly how they do. Alabama and Oklahoma and Norman. That's going to be nuts. That's going to be a night game. I think Miami and Texas A&M is going to be a night game, and then Oregon and Ole Miss are going to be either have the early morning matchup or the 2:30. I think that's the way it's going to end up getting set up. But that Alabama-Oklahoma game is going to be nuts for the right to face Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Especially with how close that game was played in Tuscaloosa this year. I mean, it was a 2-point Oklahoma win. Like that was I think it's going to go down to the wire again.
Tell you, Alabama needs to kick it in gear on offense, or that Oklahoma D is going to get after him with that pass rush.
Yeah, Oklahoma will have their stud defensive end. Tulane, we got the rematch.
Yeah, rematch. Wave and Rebs in Oxford.
Honestly, I'm kind of I don't want to see that rematch. I don't hate it, but I would like to see somebody else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so then
whether it be Duke, JMU, either of those two, I would have rather seen.
Is it JMU getting in with the 12?
Yeah. Now this is the question. They're going to do the first teams out, right?
Yeah,
is the way they're going to do it.
And then who's the last one in? Yep.
First
team out, got to be Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yep.
Second team out has to be what? Texas? Is that the way they normally go?
Depends what number they start at.
JMU, number 12.
That is awesome. Good for James Madison. Like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, they were in the FCS playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've completely turned it around this quickly. That's fantastic. Although I don't understand why a college named James Madison has Dukes in their name. Because
we talked about it because
I know. It has something to do with the president.
His nickname was Duke.
Yeah. But still, they kind of do the Dukes thing with the royal crown and all that. And I was like, don't you know who you're named after? He wrote the dang Constitution.
Yeah, you don't like the crowns. Get out. Yeah. Get the crowns out of here.
All right, so that's the top 12. We'll figure out when the games are being played in just a second with Boss Man and Mike Huseman. But first, I want to let you know about this. The holidays always feel a little bit easier when you already know the perfect gift. Omaha Steaks makes that almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks is delivering handcrafted perfection right to your door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. The quality is exactly what you would hope for. Incredibly tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that makes hosting or weeknight cooking easier. Honestly, it's the type of gift that brings people together, and you don't even need to guess the size. Save on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during this cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. All right, guys. We're waiting, I guess, for game time announcements when they're going to do it or if they're going to do it. But Ole Miss gets the green wave. You got Texas A&M getting the Miami Hurricanes. I think that's a pretty solid matchup for the Aggies, actually.
Yeah. I think it is too. To be honest with you, I'm not scared of Carson Beck at all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, the only thing that's scary about them is their D line. Ruben Bain's an absolute dude, but
that's true.
Their offense is ho-hum.
And the Aggies offensive line in the last couple games, South Carolina, Texas, started to have a little bit of trouble. They were in the Joe Moore Award conversation up until these last two games at the end of the year. And so, they've had some trouble. So, Miami defense.
Sounds like Utah's going to win that now. That's kind of the MO.
Yeah. It's interesting. That looks like a fun game. The Alabama-Oklahoma game has a chance to be fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, once we get to this point after it's been announced, you start analyzing the matchups and everything, and these games are going to be fun. As soon as we get to college football playoff time and it's okay, these two teams got left out, they got screwed, whatever. Field is set. and now starting to analyze the matchups. I love
way
every.
too say the A&M Miami, way too early line. What are we thinking? Aggies -4.5, something like that.
I would have said Aggies -3.5. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and listen, to Ole Miss fans that are watching this, Ole Miss kind of dodged a bullet because, in my opinion, the best G5 team this year was James Madison. That's an explosive group, and that defense is
Definitely
good.
might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's somebody that could show up, and you're playing James Madison. I don't care if it's a playoff game, but they're a team that could show up and pop you in the mouth. You know exactly what you have with Tulane. There's no secrets there. The game plan has already been written. Now it's just tweaking and doing things a little bit different. But you just have to deal with the fact that you can't have a letdown. You have to be all in because it's kind of hard to go from a 45-10 to them coming in trying to be motivated to correct it. And they have 2 weeks to prepare and all of that. I think you're going to see a better Tulane version than Ole Miss saw the first time they met, but I don't think that it will be good enough, if that makes sense.
It's also a team that's running backs haven't stayed healthy this year, as opposed to the early time you played them to.
I'm with you, Steve. My question is, do you think that so do you think, I know it was 45-10 the first time they met. Do you think it's more like a 35-17, 35-24 type game? Like, what do you think the spread is on that?
I think 35-24 is.
I was going to say 28 would be my guess.
Yeah.
I don't think they score a ton.
Yeah, I don't think Jake Retzlaff has the game that he had in Oxford the first time. I think he's a little bit better version. I think that John Sumrall and those guys, they're going to scheme up what's going on. And hey, John Sumrall and Lane Kiffin are boys. I don't want to put it out there, but it's just a phone call away. What do we need to know? What can we do? But because I can imagine that nothing would make Lane Kiffin happier than Ole Miss losing to Tulane in the playoffs after Ole Miss beat Tulane. So we'll see. I think this is a very good matchup for Ole Miss. Obviously, I mean, the results have already happened on the field, but I'm glad that Tulane didn't get punished down to the 12 seed just to avoid a mismatch. The only thing that I would consider possibly doing is Ole Miss jumping Oregon because Ole Miss is 2-1 against teams in the playoff field, and with the only loss being on the road by one score at the number 3 team in the country. So that's kind of the difference there.
So while we were in the break, Notre Dame first team out. I don't know if they said who the second one was. Did they say who the
BYU?
Oh, BYU was? Okay.
It was BYU. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which by the way, BYU did not look good against Texas Tech. Okay. Did not at all.
They didn't.
But they were 11-1 going in the conference championship game. And you talk about a conference championship game can't be punitive. BYU had an argument over Miami potentially. I think Notre Dame was the worst of the group, but BYU at least had an argument. Going 11-1 in a season, that's a real thing. Miami getting in, at least the ACC gets somebody.
I felt the same way. I was thinking about that. And in fact, the BYU Cougars account tweeted that yesterday evening, just saying, I think they tweeted a clip of Herb Street talking about it at the end of the Alabama-Georgia game, where he's saying Alabama probably should be in my opinion, because even though they didn't play well today, they're playing an extra game. The conference championship shouldn't be punitive. And BYU's account tweeted, unless you're BYU, like, we played in the Big 12 championship. We had one extra game. If we didn't play in this game, we should be in. So why should we not be in? And the same argument can be made for the ACC. Virginia, 10-2, and they aren't going to get in because they lost, in OT to Duke last night. I get it, but then you're stacking the conferences, right? Then you're saying, okay, well, the SEC championship matters more than the Big 12 and the ACC championship. So, yeah, the whole thing about the conference championship can't be punitive, that logic is not necessarily bleeding down to these other conferences.
Yeah, and one thing that's funny that just got mentioned in the chat that said that Ole Miss has Tulane again, but if they win that game, they get another rematch with Georgia. So it's like rematch. So Ole Miss basically gets do-overs throughout the playoffs so far. But again, you already know the expectations. You've seen those teams, and Ole Miss playing a game in the Superdome that's advantage Ole Miss. What's going on? It's hard to win in Athens, but Ole Miss put up a fight. So we'll see exactly what it looks like. But I like this draw. Now, if you get past Georgia, you have Ohio State waiting on you. I hate that Ole Miss is in that side of the bracket, but if you get past that and you get into the title game, whatever, all the teams are really good teams right now. Even James Madison's a really good team.
Yeah. I'm interested to see Hunter Yurchek. So Hammer just tweeted this out from our account, but you had Notre Dame ahead of Miami for multiple weeks. Neither of them played yesterday. How can you justify now having Miami jump Notre Dame? Like, did you just now all of a sudden have this come to Jesus moment that Miami, because they have the head-to-head win, gets in over Notre Dame, even though you had Notre Dame ranked ahead of them? Like, how do you justify that? I don't know. It has to be the head-to-head. That could be the only thing they could justify.
Steve, was that a relative of yours, the Willis that said the Vandy thing just now?
No, actually, no.
Okay.
That's a coincidence.
Okay.
But
I disagree with that one, by the way. There were several teams that were probably ahead of Vandy going into this.
Yeah, but Vandy, the committee, okay. First of all, can we all just agree that this is probably the last year of the committee, or whenever the next time they do it, the committee is going to be de-emphasized to a great extent, and that's going to be a win for everybody. But
yes,
Vandy has fallen in the trap of having to be behind Texas during this whole process.
Yeah,
because they didn't recover an onside kick that far to the left. I mean, that's where we are. And Vandy right now, probably the 6th, 7th, or 8th team in the entire country as far as the way they're playing, and they had no shot to make the playoffs. I'm glad that they're at least getting a bowl game in Tampa. But, yeah, Vandy they were stuck behind Texas, and Texas was not going to make it in because of the Florida situation. It just wasn't going to happen. And Vandy was like, oh, what are we going to do? And it literally was the onside kick being that far to the left. Vandy was going to win that game. They were going to come back from 21 points down or something like that in the fourth quarter.
I think that this could be a watershed moment where we've got some dominoes that fall after this. Maybe it's that, the likes of Texas and others stop scheduling these big out of conference games, because the Texas folks, their argument is if we didn't play Ohio State at the outset of the year, we would be in, even with the Florida loss. Even though I know we've said Oklahoma has the Michigan win, which is why they're in. But there's that. Notre Dame. Does Notre Dame now join a conference? Do we now go to 16 teams? Do the conferences lose their minds that, Vanderbilt, Texas are not in for the SEC, Big 12, BYU? And so do the conferences just come together and say, okay, screw this, we're going to 16. It's going to be better for TV, all that stuff. And then the final thing, you said it at the outset, I'm not so sure that this is the last breath of the committee, or it being, at the forefront, because I know that everybody is kind of tired of all the controversy and them releasing rankings, the last 6 weeks or whatever it is of the year. So, but ESPN has this in their contract, right? So the contract would have to be reworked. And I think that they really like the controversy at the end of the day, because we're all talking about it every single week, So I think this probably is the impetus to go to 16 teams, which I personally am against, but I think that's where we're headed. Maybe Notre Dame does finally join a conference, and I think that the committee is going to be here, for a while at least. And
that's a good point with the controversy and the will they, won't they. I mean, Steve, the last month for you has been the best traffic this channel's ever had, probably.
Well, yeah, between that and the Lane Kiffin stuff, I can't complain.
That's what I'm saying with the Lane.
Yeah.
I was largely pointing to the Lane stuff.
Yeah, it is nuts. I think I had nearly as many views in the month of November as every Locked On NHL channel put together.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was Locked On NHL, and I'm someone from Minnesota. Who would watch
it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when I heard about that, I was like, dang, that's pretty good. But yeah, we had a very good month. And for anybody that's paying attention or whatever, we're going to launch tomorrow the Everydayers All Access program that they're going to be social medias put out and all that stuff. Mike's going to be a part of it. He's going to handle some coaching search stuff. There's an article that's coming out with a profile of John David Baker as a potential candidate for the offensive coordinator. Corey Burton from Locked On Vandy, he's going to come over and help out with the anatomy of a play, where he does a little film breakdown like the film guy, because he's been coaching high school football for several years in Tennessee. So he sits down and kind of goes football coach on all the plays. We're going to have a content sharing agreement essentially with David Johnson and his new venture. And we'll have Dalen Flowers, who's on the ground in Oxford. And we have things like subtext to where you can reach out to me directly. We're going to put some stuff out. We're going to do newsletters, merch discounts, exclusive episodes, stuff like that. I'm telling you, this is going to be a pretty big game changer, and I'm excited about it. And this is a good month to come off of into that. So
that's awesome. Time to subscribe.
Yeah, seriously. And also subscribe to the newsletter at Biscuits SEC, and subscribe to All Season After Dark or SEC After Dark. If you do that, it'll be pretty good. We're going to live stream again tonight, or I should say, with the SEC crew doing a reaction roundtable talking about the playoff results. In a live stream this evening at about 7 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something like that. So we will do that. Anyway, thank you to Boss Man and Mike Huseman and all of that stuff. This has been the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. What do you guys got going on?
Got a lot going on, man. You mentioned it. We got the Biscuits and SEC newsletter, so you can sign up for that, biscuitsandsec.com/newsletter. The Morning Biscuits newsletter, it's written by myself and Hammer. It comes to you on Fridays and on Mondays during the season. And then we go to an off-season schedule on Wednesdays. But it's free to sign up, no strings attached, and it's just all about SEC football, SEC athletics, and everything going on around the conference. And then we've got Biscuits and SEC Live podcast that we've been doing. It is on Wednesdays at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So come join us over there, and you can follow us. You can see it right there at Biscuits and SEC across our channels on social media. So yeah, it's we're having a lot of fun. We got a lot of guest pickers. It's been a good year.
All right, Mike, what do you got going on over at Off Season After Dark?
For me this week, I'm trying to get an FCS guest on. I've talked to a couple guys. They're in the middle of their playoffs. We're going to be in the final 8 quarterfinals this coming week. Perennial power and heavy favorite, number 1, North Dakota State lost yesterday in an upset, so they're out. But potentially an FCS episode, and if I can't get anybody, I'll do a solo one just about all the coaching carousel stuff that's going on. But this week will be a little wonky because, talk about I'm traveling back to the University of South Carolina this week to tie up the dissertation, hopefully. So I may be Dr. Mike the next time we see each other.
Nice.
Dr. Cocky.
The game times are out, by the way. December 19th, the night game, Alabama and Oklahoma on ESPN or ABC. At noon Eastern on December 20th is Texas A&M versus Miami. That is on ESPN. On TNT at 3:30 is Ole Miss and Tulane on TNT and HBO Max from Oxford, Mississippi. And the night game is the Oregon Ducks versus the James Madison Dukes at 7:30 Eastern on TNT and HBO Max. So that is your schedule. The Sugar Bowl is the play for Georgia, and they went off the screen there. But, yeah, if Ole Miss wins the game against Tulane, they will be playing in the Sugar Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs. And I'm assuming if A&M beats Miami, they're going to go to the Orange Bowl, and whoever's in Indiana's group. No?
It says here Sugar Bowl for A&M if they would win. I don't know.
Wait, let's look this before we get out of here. Let's confirm this.
The one I'm looking at is saying if Ole Miss wins, they will go to the Rose Bowl for round 2.
That can't be right. Just a second.
Whoa.
If that's the case, that's amazing. But
That'd be cool.
But I can't imagine them not sending Indiana to that.
It says Indiana Orange Bowl here. You wonder if the Rose Bowl people would rather have Ohio State. But this one says, Georgia Rose Bowl. I don't know.
It feels like they made a mistake on that.
Maybe they
Let's
did.
see.
Yeah.
And ESPN hasn't updated. All right, just stay tuned in for us. We'll talk about it. But the last thing I saw on the graphic that they put up was Ole Miss versus Georgia, potentially, if Ole Miss makes it through in the Sugar Bowl. So we'll see exactly what that looks like as well. Anyway, for Boss Man and Mike Huseman, thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for joining the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we are your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't believe us? Google Ole Miss podcast. It's all over there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to the show. It helps it. It's totally free. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen today. Make your second listen Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship, every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics, not our problem anymore. We'll talk to you later. Hotty toddy. This is amazing. Celebrate this. This is a good day to be an Ole Miss fan.